Hello snowboarders of the internet, I am your host TC, and today I will be reviewing the Gnu Hyper. This board is equipped with Gnu's C2X camber profile, so what that means is you're going to have camber under each foot with a reverse camber zone in between your feet and a slight rocker on the nose and the tail. That camber zone is going to give you that power, drive, and pop you're looking for, where that reverse camber zone is going to give you maneuverability for foot steering, and that rocker on the nose and the tail is going to help with float and ease in and out of turns. The Hyper comes in a 154, 157, 159 wide, and a 160. I rode this board at Copper Mountain where it was pretty much every condition under the sun. We got a couple of inches of snow the day before, which promptly turned into Velcro as the day went on, got really slow, but it was overcast when we first got there, turned into sunny, started snowing, turned into freezing rain. It was just everything. Where the groomers were good, there were some icy spots, there were some soft spots. It was pretty much everything out there. But I used my Ride Fuse boots and Jones Mercury bindings. When we're talking flex on this board, it feels slightly softer than the middle of the road when we're talking that underfoot flex. But when you go to foot steer it, it feels possibly even a little bit softer there. On the nose and the tail, it's gonna be even softer than that, where these both flex quite a bit. Now when we go into the stability portion, it is gonna be fairly stable though. Even how soft it is actually pretty stable. It absorbs all of that chatter really well with it being pretty damp because, you know, it's a Mervin board and those boards are generally damper. But when you get it into the chunder or the pushed out snow, anything like that, it doesn't get super bounced around, but you definitely feel those bigger push piles underneath your feet. Even though this board is on the softer end, it ollies a lot better than I expected. It doesn't take a lot to load this tail up, but it's got a nice spring to it where you don't even really have to lean into it, just a nice standard skateboard ollie, and it's gonna spring you pretty much right in the air there. It doesn't launch you forward or anything like that, so just keep your weight centered, you'll be fine. It does feel nice and stable on the landings as well. I expected it to kind of dip in on one side just because of how it's shaped and how narrow it is, but it really didn't have any problems there. So the stability on the takeoff and the landing were pretty nice, where it honestly performed better than I expected just because of how soft this board actually is. Remember to like, subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications just so you don't miss any of the scheduled programming we have coming out. Even though this board is directional, it butters very well, where that reverse camber zone mixed with the rocker in the tail and the nose, it provides a great sweet spot for both really, where even though it is going to be smaller on here, your sweet spot's going to pretty much start a little or couple inches, maybe a few centimeters right past that insert pack, where on the nose, it's gonna be a little further out, pretty much right where this maroon stripe is. That's where your sweet spot's gonna be. And keep in mind, since the nose is longer, you're gonna have a little bit bigger of a sweet spot. So if you get a little bit too over the nose or not enough, you're still gonna be able to press on this thing. The main thing to keep in mind when you're carving on this board is do not try to overpower it. Pretty much carve this thing like it's a surfboard, where you're not really digging in super hard to the edge. It's gonna fold on you. The easier you take it, the better this board is gonna carve, where yeah, it'll carve edge to edge on those quick carves nice and easy, but the main thing to keep in mind, I know you're probably gonna want to like really dig that edge in, power off the back foot on those medium and larger carves. This board doesn't need it. You will overpower this thing. It's gonna fold in half if you do. It will Euro carve, but the same thing, don't try to push all that energy into the board. Just kind of keep it nice and relaxed and you'll be able to complete that full Euro carve. Rider in mind. This board is made for somebody that is gonna keep it kind of relaxed out there, but they're not gonna make everything relaxed. They're still gonna wanna go hit all of the side hits, drops, all that stuff, but they're gonna be nice and light on their feet while they're doing it. They're not gonna be the biggest human out there. They're not pushing 300 pounds or anything like that. They just wanna keep it nice and surfy and pretty just chill, I would say. Are you interested in getting more involved in the snowboarding community? Head on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. I could explain it here, but we have a great video over there getting into it really in depth. I really enjoyed this board. It was a lot of fun. especially after I figured out you cannot try to overpower this thing, because you will and it'll just fold on you. But once you ride it like it's intended to be ridden, it's a blast. Like, it gets nice and surfy, but you still feel precise. I know it feels weird and sounds weird to say that, but it's exactly how it rides, where it's a fun board. Definitely not gonna have a high calorie human on it. They're gonna fold this thing in half, but as long as you're lightweight and kind of light on your feet, that's who this is made for. I mean, look at what Blake Paul has done on this board in the past. Like, that guy's light on his feet, and it makes sense as to why now. Overall, great board. If you need something like this, I would definitely recommend picking it up. Comparable boards: the K2 Passport, the Ride Moderator, and the Yes Pick Your Line. Recommended bindings: the Bent Metal Axtion, the Jones Orion, and the Salomon Hologram. This has been my review of the Gnu Hyper. If you're still board curious, why don't you go check out one of the videos for our comparable boards.